Hey, this is Ben Solomon, and welcome to this episode of the Techno Leadership Show. In this episode, I am going to be talking about why technologists are misunderstood in leadership roles. This is something, as someone who's come from a deep technology background, as I moved up into management and leadership roles, I had to be a lot more aware of. We technologists have a tendency to speak about features and the latest and greatest technology without always thinking about the overall scope for the business. And what I mean by that is this: you can have the best, newest platforms, newest technology, newest system, whatever it might be, put into a business. But if it's done in a very isolated manner, we're not looking at it as how it affects the overall running of the business. Any major technological change that we make from a technology standpoint is going to affect processes. It's going to affect how people go about things. It means there's overheads around training, overheads around productivity for at least a short term till people get used to the new systems. There's aspects around support and management, escalations, so many things that has to be thought about. And there is a tendency, I'm not saying everyone's like this, but there is a tendency for people from technology backgrounds to not think about these far-reaching impacts. So there is that tendency to sort of look at the first order consequence of going, yep, if I change this, it'll fix that issue that we've been having for 2 years, for example. But we don't always see the second and third and fourth order consequences of replacing that system. Yes, it'll fix the core issue. Yes, fantastic, root cause will be fixed. But if you don't have a proper transitionary plan in place, it's going to cause more problems than what it's going to fix. Because if that system has been in place for 2 or 3 or whatever years, people have found ways to work around it to get their job done. Now you have to help people unlearn all of that. And look, human beings, our brains are designed in such a way for us to be as lazy as possible. And even though our workaround might be this long convoluted thing, the whole thought process of even changing how we do work makes people go, oh, I don't want to be thinking about this. It is too hard, and go, against what you're doing. Which is why in some of my early roles, I was wondering, why am I having so much resistance, even though I'm trying to put new systems in or new platforms in that make life a lot more easier. From my perspective, it's like they're going from having to do all these things to pressing 2 buttons. But from their perspective, they've been doing all this and they know that from the back of their mind that it's automatic. Now they've got to change their automatic program in their mind to go and do it the new way. And as I went into management roles and then executive leadership roles, is when I really, really, really got it. It's from their point of view, you're wasting their time in that sense. So to change that whole perception, having a proper change management process in place is very important. And any initiative that we bring out, we need to be making sure we promote it from a point of view of benefit. How is it really going to benefit the people involved and the business holistically? And the thing is, it's not the benefit as we see it from our eyes. We have to see the benefits from our customers' eyes, because they're the ones who are using the system. They're the ones who are going to go through the pain of change. Yes, we do all the work of migrating and integrating and implementing and all those sort of things, and then maintenance and sometimes even training. but you've got to look at it from their perspective of, change. So always look at it as a benefit that is much more bigger than the problem that they're facing. Sometimes there is also the tendency to solve for a problem that's not really a problem. It might be a problem from our standpoint as a technologist, looking at, oh, there's a much better way to do it. Why don't we just put this new system in and it'll do it better? But from the point of view of the user, it's a tiny little itch that they don't want to scratch. They don't care. They just put up with it, move on. It's not that much of an issue. And when you try to change something that's not that much of an issue, there is so much more resistance, saying you've, caused me pain by having to make me think about this. So that's a view and the perspective that you've got to think about when looking at any change in a business. Especially in the bigger business, it's much more that you have to think about, because there's so many more people affected, so many more integrations between departments and the work that they do, the workflows that get affected and everything. So the best ways I've been able to get this change done in a manner that was effective and was even welcomed is from looking at it as benefits driven. And I usually have had people who are usually the hardest or hate change. I'll have a few of them, as well as some of the people who are wanting the latest and the greatest as part of my pilot teams. So when we start looking at solution for any issue, new platform implementation, whatever it might be, I have gone and gotten a sample set of people from the organization who are from both extremes. The middle of the ground people in most cases will go along with whatever comes up, as long as you give them the training, the support, and give them enough time to adjust. They're fine. It's the extremes that you've got to be worried about and careful about. So getting people from both extremes, as well as some people from leadership level roles involved, means one, they can give us good feedback straight from the front lines, but also it means that if the initiative is something that really changes the way they work and is going to be so beneficial that it's really worth it, they will sell for you. Like, I've had people who you would think would never want any change go to executive leadership and say, I want that new project that the technology team is doing in the whole organization, like right now. Can we fund it? And sometimes I haven't even had to go to I haven't even had to go to the CFO, financial controller, and say, hey, look, I've got this proposal for a project, sort of thing. Yes, I've had to do it after, because you have to have formal documentation for everything from a legal and compliance and all that standpoint. But they've come to me and gone, hey, I'm hearing that you're testing this system, and these people have been bugging me about funding. Can we get, are you going to be doing this? And I'm like, look, I'm in the process of putting together a proposal for it. And they go, look, I think that proposal is going to go through even before you have it really done. So because it goes all the way up the chain, goes sometimes to the CEOs, and they go, hey, I'm hearing great things about this project. Can we fast track that? It's happened. And when you start thinking about the business holistically, even when you're in technology roles, let alone management and leadership role, even when you're in a technology role, even help desk role, if you're thinking of things from a holistic business, how is it going to impact the whole business standpoint, it'll help you get things done on a much better level. And in leadership and management roles, when you're coming into the party, so to speak, with benefits for the whole business and how it'll affect client interactions with the business, how it's going to improve the scalability of a business, and all those sort of business aspect, how is it going to improve efficiencies, effectiveness, as well as profitability, you have a much higher chance to get things funded and have those implemented as priority. So you might even get a push from the leadership group and the organization saying, why haven't we done this yet? Can we put all the resources possible into this project and get it done? And it's something that you might have been wanting to do for the last 2 or 3 years and been trying to get funding for. So when you're thinking about that from a holistic business perspective and putting the benefits through as something that affects the whole business and the way the business runs, and how much it's going to improve all the other main key metrics that executive leadership are looking for: effectiveness, efficiency, profitability, and risk mitigation security, the more likely you are to get all the funding that you can get, support and the training and everything else that you need financially, from staffing perspective, and all those aspects, when it's done with the support of your people, support of having evangelists from people who are very resistant to change, as well as your front runners who love to have the best and the newest, means you have that whole spectrum covered. And having few people from leadership makes it even more easier, because they start selling for you, and it just makes life a lot easier. So as technologists in leadership roles, don't look at anything as this technology. Look at it as what benefit, what is the biggest issues that people are facing, and what benefit anything that you do is going to have, whether it's having new staff, whether it's having some part of your business and systems and everything outsourced, or having some sort of managed services for certain aspects like printing, like firewalls being managed, whatever it might be. Putting it in the form of how advantageous it is to the whole business, from a profitable standpoint, from a standpoint of cost cutting, from a standpoint of efficiency and effectiveness of staff, as well as from risk mitigation perspective, is what's going to get your projects funded and you being able to do your job to your best capacity. So hopefully that helps you think about these things from a different perspective, not from the technology perspective, but from a holistic business perspective. That will help you be more effective in your role as a tech manager and as executive leader. I wish you all the best in your journey as a tech professional, manager, and leader. If you like this episode, please hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button so that you're notified of future episodes as they are released. I look forward to talking to you in a future episode.